Get up and eat, else the journey will be too long for you. Get up and eat. For us creatures, life on this earth, life as humans, is a perilous journey, a long journey, and actually one that has the danger of ending with eternal death. I don't want for myself eternal death. For anyone I love, I don't want them to end with eternal death. This, the Bread of Life discourse, we've been reflecting on the journey and where we'll end up. Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, now the third Sunday in a row. And we're here to accomplish this journey, to stay alive, to one day actually reach our homeland, heaven, our final goal. There's some key instructions. And there's one thing we need, and this one thing is not optional. It's not replaceable. There's actually no substitutes that can get us across to the other side. That one thing is God, and God alone. No one of us can make it from this side to the other side safely without the nourishment, the strength, grace, and love of God Himself. Get up and eat, else the journey will be too long for you. You won't make it. So where do we find God? Where do we actually receive God into our hungry souls? I've learned as a human being, for me personally, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, I need to get outside. I need to spend time outside. I need to get away from people. I need to get away from work. I need to get away from the constant news cycle, the fallenness of this world. I sort of need to get away from my fellow sinners and be by myself. And so what do? I put on hiking shoes, I put on boots, and I go and I find the woods. I get into nature. You guys know this. I climb trees. I hook up my 14-foot boat, and I go look for water. And to a degree, I'm refreshed. Mentally, emotionally, psychologically. And actually, when I get there, in a way, I'm met by God. There in nature, there on the water. And it makes sense because indeed, God is everywhere. There is nowhere God isn't. So of course I need Him there. So then why this big, expensive church that continues to be a big expense for us to restore here? Why Sunday? Why the bother of coming to Mass? Why don't we all just go off into nature, into the woods? For most of us, it'd probably be a lot more peaceful. And some say, "Oh, Father, I'm spiritual but not religious." I'm spiritual. I'm close to God, but I'm not religious. Well, if that's the case, that's sad. Because your soul is being left malnourished. Some say, I find God in the woods, in the tree stand. Okay. You've heard me say it. Me personally, I don't go to the woods to look for God. I'm there looking for deer. But yes, being away, I think what it is there's something about being away and distant from other human beings. We kind of need distance from sinners. And there we find God in that solitude. But where do we actually find the body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ? That without which there is no salvation. Where are we actually fed? Where do we actually come in contact with the sacrifice of Calvary, the blood of Christ? It's not in the woods. And actually, as we'll learn directly from Jesus, and he's ramping it up each week, and it's going to continue to ramp up. The only promised way to get from here to heaven is through coming to this altar and being fed. And this requires clearing our schedule, setting our alarm, and actually showing up to the Mass. We hear this, it's beautiful. Elijah, he actually is in such distress because he's not been fed that he thinks it'd be better just to fade away and die. He said, God, just let me die. But God, he sends this angel and he says, no, get up and eat. And he says it again, not just once. Get up and eat. That's what God says to every single one of us Catholics. He says, get up and eat. And so he gets up, he eats and he drinks, and he's strengthened by that food. And actually he walks 40 days and 40 nights, and he's able to reach the mountain of God. He can reach heaven. Jesus says, I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world.